Thank you for joining us today. So we are going to be talking about memorized transactions today in QuickBooks Enterprise. My name is Alicia. I'm a senior partner here at Fourlane, and I look forward to talking and sharing the information about this topic that a lot of people don't use, and it truly can help automate, help eliminate manual data entry, and it is something that can help with maintaining financials. So I'm just so excited to be able to talk about this, even though it seems such a very small feature of what QuickBooks Enterprise has to offer. So I didn't really put much on my slide here for memorized transactions, but I'm at a high level. We're going to create some transactions, we're going to schedule, we're going to talk about automation, and we're going to spend the majority of our time in QuickBooks Enterprise because that's where all the fun is. So I'd like to take a second before I dive in, and I'd like to ask, obviously, I'm not going to be able to hear you, but I want you to ask yourself, if I figured out 2 things I am spending the most time in inside of QuickBooks, what would those 2 things be? Just take a quick second. So with that, if you said bills, manual data entry of bills, this is the webinar you want to pay attention to. If you said manually creating individual invoices, manually entering in journal entries for month-end close, this is for you, okay? So I hope to show you guys that as we go through and create and memorize transactions, that you will be able to see and identify where you can save time by taking advantage of this feature that has been around forever. In our company conference that we went to last week, we operate on the EOS model, and we did an exercise, delegate and elevate. And we needed to identify 2 tasks that we needed to delegate to someone else to do. And this could be the delegation if you said, I manually enter the rent over and over every single month, right? I manually enter the phone bill every single month. Or I'm manually creating our monthly subscription invoices to all of our clients, right? This could be that delegate and elevate, okay? So memorize transactions, the transaction types that you can use and memorize, right? Bills. So we go to our home page, bills, checks, so our write checks, credit card charges, invoices, sales receipts, journal entries, purchase orders, estimates, deposits, right? I want to hopefully get to a story about estimates for a construction client of mine, and blew his mind. He was like, Alicia, you're my favorite person. So, okay. When should we be using these? Eliminate manual data entry, because that's for the birds, right? You do not want to do manual data entry. When you have a fixed expense income, right? If it's fixed or predictable, okay? Payroll entries. Those are things that we definitely, who wants to sit, if you have an outside payroll service, who wants to sit and type in all of those different accounts and memos and da 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 da, right? So we're gonna memorize them. When do we not use this? Well, let's say if we have unknowns, right? So meaning if I have a supplier and that supplier we order as needed. It's never consistent. It is always different. I don't even order once a month. Sometimes it could be once every 6 months. Things that are variable, right? Constantly changing. So inventory transactions, right? If it's a usage kind of bill, those are things that we would not want to do memorize transactions from, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and start entering in a transaction. Ooh, I actually want to teach this first. So I think that's always cool to do shortcuts. I like to, do little tips and tricks. And so if you're in QuickBooks and you do, make sure I'm in here, Control T. Control T brings up our memorized transactions list. If you don't have Control T and you go to List, Memorized Transactions, look at that cool little tip right there. It also tells us, okay? Always multiple ways to get to one place in QuickBooks, which is why I love it. Go back to the home page here. So Control T opens up our transaction list, right? I'm going to enter a bill and we're gonna do rent, okay? Maybe I have a rent expense. We'll create one. So we are going to use somebody on here. We're just gonna use, we may not have, okay, we're just gonna use this vendor. And we're gonna say, here's my vendor I pay every month for rent. This is a sample file, it lives in the future 2029. I'm not gonna change the date, but I'm gonna put my reference number. And I'm gonna put that we have a $5,000 rent amount every single month. And gonna go ahead and code that to the GL. Apparently I cannot type. Now I have monthly rent expense. Okay. At this point, I did not do anything other than open up the bill, put all the information in, exactly what I would do every single month. If I have a class that I want to classify, I would do that, right? If I needed a memo, I would do that. But now I want to memorize this bill. I didn't save and close it because I don't want to enter it yet. I am just creating this to memorize, okay? So this cute little box right here, I could do memorize. I also could do Control M. Sorry, it opened on my second screen. So Control M brings up my memorized transaction window. So in looking at this, I've got, and I'm just going to say, monthly rent, RPS, that's my vendor for short, okay? And so I have options that I need to go through. So these options are the things that can allow for us to free up more time. So add to my reminders list. That's the very first default one. This is going to show up on your reminders, right? Some of us have, when we come in, it's like a to-do list, and that is in a different webinar, but it's in preferences, right? And we can set it up so that it shows up every single time. So add to my reminders list. Do not remind me because I'm amazing and I'm going to remember myself. I mean, that's what I think, right? So it's just going to store the template, but you are going to have to go in and remember to post it every time. It can come in handy. Automate transaction entries, okay? Automate this. What does that mean? How can this help me? Well, if I'm going to automate this transaction, then that means I no longer have to manually data enter it. So if I'm using this one, I need to come in and identify, this is how we schedule. It's this easy. So if this is a monthly rent payment, say I pay it on the 15th of every month, right? I want this bill to be entered every month, every 2 weeks. So I pay it on time. I can get it in my cash flow. When I'm doing my monthly cash flow forecast or my weekly cash flow forecast, right? So this is your schedule. Identify, these are automatically set up in the system. It will, once you select it, it will automatically do that calculation for you, okay? If we select monthly, sorry, it pops up to my other screen. So then I have to set my next date. If I've never run this in a memorized transaction automation report before, right? I am going to put my first day and then every day, every date for the future based off of how often. So maybe I'm going to set it for 29th, right? Number remaining. This is optional, not required. So you can say for things like, guys, loan payments. How many of us companies have a vehicle that we're having to make loan payments on? And every single month we come in and we record that, right? If it's a 72-month loan, we can put 72 months, right? 72. So this is where it's optional, not required. If you leave it blank, it's going to continue to keep going until you tell it to stop, okay? Days in advance to enter. So my example of the 15th, my bill's due, I want to enter it 5 days prior, right? Maybe I should just use this as my example. So 15th, I want to enter 5 days prior. This is how we would do this, okay? Now we are scheduling this and memorizing it at the same time. It's kind of wild because I don't have to go in and do 10 different things to make this happen. So very simple, very easy to do, one-stop shop, all at the same time, okay? So now I have the ability to say, okay, I know y'all all didn't hear that camera snapshot, but it happened in my ears. And so I did not record this yet. I just memorized it, all right? So I've got my open windows over here. And now we see monthly rent RPS. Okay. So I'm going to go in and I am going to clear this because I don't want to save that. I just wanted to memorize it. So I want to be able to show you guys, right? We go to our memorized transaction list and we see here's my monthly rent. It's a bill. It's going to hit accounts payable, $5,000 monthly, auto selected. Yes, I never have to enter this again, right? And the next date is actually the first time it's going to do it for me in the future, right? Okay. I have a question. Will the automate transaction remind you? It's a great question. So reminders, we're going to go in, going to edit, memorize transaction. Okay. So reminders are going to be up here and automate is going to be down here. Okay. So it's automatically going to enter it for you. So it doesn't have to remind because it's not reminding you to do anything. This reminder is, hey, you have to go record this bill. Okay. So it's reminding you to do something. It's a great, great question. The one thing that I didn't show is that you can add to a group. And so adding to a group, there's groups that are already selected. I can add this to a group. Okay. So that it's already there. So maybe it's like all of my automated bills, right? Okay. All right. I want to show you guys how fun it can be to do things like what I taught my client. So this was a construction company. And he had, and I probably should have used that sample file, but we're in this one. And so he had, for example, in a construction company, they did things from demo to permits and he had everything organized. And his item list was structured in numerical order based off of how his project worked, right? And so not every company can do that. But envision if we had our most top selling items, right? And there's details or customizations, or it takes quite a while to put in subscriptions, right? So maybe I have to do things like labor installation. Maybe I have to select, right? pull covers. Maybe I have other things, right, that I've got to put in here, like custom work, freight, right? All of these things. And it can become cumbersome, right? So I can memorize this. And memorize this to say, pull 100 MC cells, because these are all the things that I have to do every single time that I have a new customer wanting this most popular pull cover, right? And so I can add it to my reminders. I don't know that I want it to remind me. I would say do not remind me, right? Okay. And so now I've added this. So going around my day, going around, someone calls and says, hey, I'd like to see if I could get a quote for this. I don't have to type in anything, right? Not in the body. Maybe I can update some quantities, some prices. I put their name, I put the class, and I email it to them, right? So I have saved myself time. I am getting my customer the quote faster, right? And so there's no hang up, and I don't have to manually type anything. It is more efficient this way. I send it out, it's being tracked inside of QuickBooks, right? So I'm able to do all the things. Okay. So hopefully, if you have thought of the two things at the very beginning of our webinar, where I said, just think about those two things. Could we delegate and elevate there, right? What could we do to save us time? Now, how many other things popped in your head of time-saving things that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis that you could use this and it help save you time, save you efficiencies, right? Save you from data entry. And we're all human. So when we data enter, we tend to make mistakes sometimes, right? I have a question that I want to see if I can get to. I feel like I've been trying to go through them, and I believe I've answered everyone except this question is, if you check reminder, it will remind you to enter it. If you do automate, it enters it for you. Yes, so no need to remind. That's correct. Sorry. Thank you guys for participating, asking questions, doing those things. It is good, right, to be able to see that people are listening and hearing, and hopefully I'm helping, right? So I also want to make sure that people know, right? I don't know if anyone ever uses this, but I love a good calendar, right? And so when things are happening in the background, like automatically entering for me, because I'm using my time wisely. Anyone ever heard that work-life balance, right? And as accountants, sometimes we're like, I am constantly just working, never getting ahead. So we use memorized transactions, and maybe we're telling it to automate, right? There's a calendar inside of QuickBooks, and it tells you what's upcoming, what's to do, what transactions. And so there's also the ability to come in here and to look at If I click on the 31st, all these transactions that were entered, right? If I click on the 3rd, I can see all these transactions that were entered. So if I am, I can run other reports too, but I think that this is probably something that's the easiest way to come in, take a look, and be like, oh, yep, my rent got posted again for me, right? So little things that can help us ensure that this is working in our benefit, right? And helping. Efficiencies. Okay, I am cutting it close on time. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope that you've learned some things that can help you in your day-to-day life. I look forward to our next webinar together and teaching you more.